Hey everyone, how's it going? So at this point we have our post ID, we have a user ID, and we know whether the user has liked the post already, which means we should know whether we need to be liking it or whether we need to be unliking it. So let's go ahead and tackle these two scenarios. Like I said, we've got to do a user like and we've got to insert a post like. So let's start with the user like. So what we're going to do is we'll say user dot find by ID and update. So I briefly mentioned what these find methods were, but we have find by ID, we've got find by ID and delete and remove and update. So of course we want to update something, and we know what the ID of the post is. We know it's only going to be one document in the table we want to update. We know it's only going to be one document in the table that we want to update. Now, yes, we could just use a find request on its own, so we could find this way and then manually update it afterwards. But it's much better to do it this way, where if we know there's only going to be one row to update and we have the ID for it, it's much better to do it this way. So we're going to use find by ID and update. Now, when you do a find by ID, so all the find by ID methods, the first parameter is the ID of the document you want to update. So in our case, it's going to be user ID. All right, this one we got right here. And then the second option is the value you want to update. Now, what do we want to do? Well, we want to update the likes value. Now, it's going to work slightly differently here. If let me just show you the user schema. If we were going to update the first name, for example, all we would do is simply put an object here, and we would say first name, and then we'd just put their new name. Whatever the name was, we'd just put that name there. And this would update the first name field to be like this, okay? But we're updating an array, so we don't need to update the value. We need to actually add to it. So we essentially need to insert into the array, right? Now, this just means we're not going to just say likes, which is the name of our array field, and then specify some value, because this would try and set the whole value to be whatever we put here. And we don't want to do that. Like I said, we want to add to the array, but we may also want to remove from the array too. But let me just show you how to implement the case where we would add to the array. So I know obviously we're going to be adding or removing based on whether they've liked it already, but let me just show you how we would add to it. What we could do is say $add to set. Okay, now this is an operator that MongoDB has that allows us to add to a set. Now a set, you can think of it as just an array. A set is basically a list where an item can only exist in that one time. So in a set, you know that each item only exists one time and there's not going to be any duplicate items in the list. But don't worry about that. As far as you're concerned, we're just adding to an array with this, okay? Don't give that much more thought. But the way we use it is we say add to set, and then we specify what the set is. So in our case, it's likes, and then the value you want to add to it. So in our case, this would be post ID, because remember the likes value on the user is keeping track of all the posts that this user has liked. So this right now, if we executed this, would just add this post ID to the likes value for the user. Now, what if we wanted to remove from the array? You know, if we're going to unlike it. Now, that's simple. All we would do, instead of add to set, we would just use pull. So, I know you'd think it would be like remove from set or something, but it's pull. Pull will remove an item from the array. So, if we're removing, we would use pull. Okay, great. We know. So, what do we want to do? Now, obviously, we could do a big if statement that said, if we've liked it already, use pull here, like copy this, and then we can do another one underneath which says if we haven't liked it, then we're going to do add to set here. But we don't want to do that. That's not what you want to do. So what we're going to do instead is conditionally use pull or add to set in this part. So go up here, and we're going to create an option, or sorry, a variable called option equals, and we'll do a ternary operator. So is liked. And then we'll just do a question mark, and this is the value that's going to be used if is liked is true. So if they have already liked it, what we want to do is use $pull, that one I've just told you about. And then we'll do a colon, and this is the value we're going to use if is liked is not true, so if they haven't liked it before, and in that case it's the first one I mentioned, which is just add to set. Okay, so now we've got the option we want to use, so let's just put it here, right? Let's just take this, swap it out, and happy days. We can sleep peacefully at night. We can now add and remove likes from posts. Well, not just yet. We can't use variable values here because MongoDB expects the text that it sees here to be the name of the field. So it would look for something called option, which we don't have. So what we need to do instead, just put this in square brackets. Now, square brackets allows you to inject a variable and use it as the option, okay? So I know it's a bit of a complex syntax, but I think this is the only place in the course we're using like a conditional option. All the rest of them will always be hard coding like add to set or pull or something like that. So just bear with me on this. All you need to know is that we've created an option. It'll either be this one or that one based on whether we've liked it already, and then we're just sticking it in here. And because we want to use a variable for the option value, we need to use square brackets. That's just how it goes, okay? And that's it now. That will now handle the liking and unliking of a post. Now, there's a little bit more to do here. We'll come and do that in the next video, but let's just make sure that works real quick. So I've killed my server instance. I'm going to restart it. And what I'm going to do is go to here. I'm going to press like. So you see Yahoo because we didn't handle anything else yet. But most importantly, there's no errors here. And I actually forgot to log something. So to check that it worked, we're going to have to go to the database. So I'll go to our users table. And let's see if we have something in the likes value. So this should have a likes array here. And I'm not sure why it doesn't. What I'm going to do is add some logs here just to make sure the values are okay. So console.log, I'm going to log is liked. We'll just log the is liked value. And I'm going to copy and paste that on the line below. And this can be option. And then here we'll just put option in there. And I'll also log the user ID as well. So user ID equals, and just put user ID just to make sure that's all good. So I'll restart the server and let's go back and see what's going on. Oh, that's the wrong page. I've refreshed, so I'll refresh this one instead, and I'll press the like button and let's see what we get. So is liked false, option add to set as it should be, user ID is that, which is right. I'm not sure why this wouldn't work. Let me just try adding an await there. I don't think that's the case. I'm wondering whether it's returning before it's able to do the call, but I thought it would still go on in the background. So let me just restart the server. Okay, let's refresh this and see what's going on. So I'm going to go and refresh this page. And okay, now we have an array. So I guess that was the problem. We needed to wait there because this is asynchronous, so it's waiting to execute. I knew it was asynchronous, but I thought that even after it returned, if we started the call, it was going to continue it, but I guess not. So just make sure you await there. We have async in the top of the function anyway from where we copied and pasted this part. So it should be fine, but it's okay because I was going to add await in the next video anyway because we're going to do something with this result. But yeah, what we're going to check though is if I press it again, it should remove the like. So if I press this again and now refresh it, we should hopefully see the like removed. And we don't, but I know why. I know why we haven't done it. It's because we're not caching the result. Don't worry, I'll explain why in the next video, but basically we need to do something with the result of this, and that's why it hasn't unliked it. I will explain in the next video.